You're searching Okoboji wrong. Most people buying a home in the Iowa Great Lakes make the same mistake. They type in Okoboji and they completely miss two towns that might actually fit their life. Here's what nobody tells you, and once you hear it, you're going to look at this entire market differently. Let me start with something that surprises most out-of-town buyers. There's a house on West Okoboji right now. Guess what? It has a Spirit Lake address. There are homes right next to Bridges Bay in Twin Hills. Guess what? Spirit Lake addresses. There are homes on Lower Gar. One of them's listed right now at 1.88 million. Guess what? Milford address. Ha, tricked you. Point is, when I work with a buyer looking for a lake home, I don't type in Spirit Lake or Okoboji or Arnold Park. I pull up a map, type in Dickinson County, and start searching the shorelines. Because when you're talking lakefront, you're talking lakes and areas, not towns. But when someone is relocating and plans to live, work, eat, sleep, raise their kids here, build a life here, well, now a town matters. And Spirit Lake and Milford are normally where I start. Let's start by breaking each town down. Because unless you grew up around here, I bet you're missing this. We'll start with Spirit Lake first. Here's the best way I can describe it. You know when you're on vacation, somewhere new, you've been to all the tourist spots, you've been to all the must-see places, and then on your way out, you need gas or groceries, so you end up driving through the main drag. And suddenly, you're seeing the real version of the place, the neighborhood, the businesses, people who actually live there year-round. And it just hits different. Boji is a show, no doubt, but Spirit Lake, it's the town behind the show that makes everything run. It's the economic and governmental hub of the entire Iowa Great Lakes region. About 5,500 people live here year-round. And it's not a small Broadway village. This is a fully functioning city. I mean, just drive down Highway 71. Coming from the west, you've got Rosenboom Machine and Tool, a major industrial employer. Next, you'll find Okoboji Motors and Spirit Lake Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And across the highway, straight south, you'll pass the Indian Motorcycle Factory. And that's just a fraction of what's here. This is where real businesses operate and real people are making a living. Now, for groceries, you've got Hy-Vee, Fairway, and Walmart if you're looking for a one-stop shop. For all natural or organic, you can find Wilder Thymes Natural Foods. And for meat lockers, you got Crafties and Forbes. There are multiple banks, including Bank Midwest, and I don't name them for any specific reason, as all the banks are great to work with. Bank Midwest just has the coolest looking building in the whole town, in my opinion. I always say it gives Spirit Lake that big city look. For food, between fast food and sit-down places, there are options for any kind of food your little heart desires. And here's something a lot of out-of-towners get completely wrong. They hear Spirit Lake and immediately say, nope, I want to be in the lakes area. Gets me every time. Sometimes I just want to say, let me say that again. It's Spirit Lake. It ends in lake. Anyways, Spirit Lake's crime rate is 52% below the national average. I've lived in Sioux Falls. I've lived in Worthington, Minnesota. And both of those places gave me moments where I had a sense about my personal security. In the Spirit Lake area, I don't get that feeling. And the schools are highly rated, and if you have kids, that matters. Now, on a Tuesday in Spirit Lake, it's business as usual. Moms and kids running errands, people heading to work, life happening at normal pace. But on a Saturday in July, it's a completely different animal. The population of 5,500 does not feel like 5,500 anymore. Boats and jet skis pouring in from every direction. Traffic on Highway 71 backed up. Parking lots full everywhere. Memorial Park packed with families grilling and kids playing in the splash pad. For a few months, Spirit Lake on the weekends feels like you're living in the big city. The energy is electric. It's exciting. And then Tuesday comes around again and it's back to business as normal. It's perfect for folks like myself who don't want the big town traffic to fight every morning just getting to work, but wish they had the entertainment of the big city on the weekend. Well, folks, time to start packing, because it exists right here in Spirit Lake. But not everyone wants that energy, not even for a part of the time. Turns out I have the perfect spot for that. Wouldn't you like to know? Well, lucky for you, I'm a people pleaser, so I'm going to tell you. It's Milford. Big old town of Milford sits just south of the lakes, 3.5 miles from the edge of Spirit Lake. Now, for someone who has never drove through, it feels like Milford is where it all started, and everything grew north from there. Wondering to yourself right now what I mean, huh? Well, Milford is a classic hardworking small town. Builders, farmers, people who work with their hands and have lived there their whole lives. The houses are a little older, a little closer together. The lots are established. Trees are mature. It has that everyone knows everyone feel that Spirit Lake has in the winter, but Milford has it every single day of the year. You just get that tight-knit, old-timer style community feel. You know, the one you walk in the post office and old Mr. Johnson asks how Miss Betsy's hip replacement went. That's the vibe. The local diners and dives in Milford are filled with locals, like Miss Betty and Mr. Johnson. You get my drift? Anyways, there are nature trails and creeks nearby. It's quieter, slower, and for certain buyers, it's exactly what they're looking for. For groceries, Milford has Sunshine Foods, the only locally owned grocery store serving the Iowa Great Lakes. It's great for quick trips and grabbing what you need for dinner. For the big weekly stock up, residents tend to make a 10-minute drive north into Spirit Lake, save a buck or two. Kids in Milford attend the Okoboji Community School District. These are kids who grow up playing in the park together, in the same youth leagues, they go to school together, and they stay connected long after graduation. Now, a lot like Spirit Lake, I suggest Milford. And before I can finish, nope, want to be closer to the lakes. My first initial thought is always, let's get you a new map, huh? Because Milford is part of the lakes, and so is Spirit Lake. Think of it this way. Big cities, it can take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to get to the other side. In 30 minutes, you could check out East, West Okoboji, yonder over to Big Spirit. Heck, stop and grab a donut while you decide which one you're going to go out on. Now, there is closer direct access in Spirit Lake to all of the lakes, and the backbone of the lakes resides in Spirit Lake. But Milford offers a pace of life that never really speeds up, even in July. Milford stays Milford, and no matter what, nothing is really that far away from either town. Alright, I've tortured you long enough. I know what you came here for. You want to know which one is going to cost you more. I bet your mind's about to be blown. But first, real quick, before we get to that, pause the video quick and in the comments, tell me based off of everything I've given you so far, is Milford or Spirit Lake going to be more expensive? And why? And if you're short on time, subscribe or just save the video for later. Or drop down into the description and get the relocation guide I created. Goes over every town and every lake. Free of charge, just click the link. Alright, now let's talk numbers, because you all didn't come here to see my pretty face. In Spirit Lake, you can find decent homes starting around $200,000 to $250,000. But for a solid forever family home, nice 3 to 4 bedroom, 2 to 3 bathrooms, you're looking at $300,000 to $500,000. That gets you something really nice. From $450,000 to $700,000, you're into newer builds and newer developments. Bigger square footage, modern finishes, room to grow. Berkeley Heights, you could get a 3-bed, 2-bath on slab new builds for in that $325,000 range, but all of those are sold. Once in a while, a year or two old home in Berkeley Heights comes up and usually is listed at $340,000 plus. In Milford, $200,000 to $350,000 gets you really nice places. From $350,000 to $500,000, you can get genuinely large homes. And as I mentioned at the top, there are Milford addressed homes sitting on Lower Gar right now. One listed at $1.88 million. So don't just assume that Milford is the clearance aisle of the Iowa Great Lakes. And again, as I've said, Spirit Lake and Milford doesn't automatically mean what lots of buyers think it does. A Spirit Lake address doesn't mean you're off the water. A Milford address doesn't mean you're in the middle of nowhere. The address and the lifestyle don't always match the way buyers from bigger cities expect them to. When I'm working with someone relocating here, or even a local, I start by asking questions. And then we find the property that fits the answers, not the one that fits the address. That approach changes how buyers experience this market. Now here's the thing I want to leave you with, because this is probably the most important part, so listen carefully. The buyers who are happiest 5 years after moving to the Iowa Great Lakes are almost always the ones who took the time and answered the questions honestly before they signed anything. Not what lake will give me the best status in town, but what does my actual life look like here? Spirit Lake gives you the infrastructure of a real town, the safety of one of the most family-friendly communities in the Midwest, schools your kids will thrive in, Hy-Vee, Fairway, Walmart, banks, car dealership, industrial employers, amazing healthcare, and Okoboji, literally 1 mile up the road, whenever you want it. Milford gives you the small town feel that most people thought didn't exist anymore. A neighborhood where people actually know each other. A slower pace that doesn't require a lake view to feel like home, and a 10-minute drive to the docks whenever you want to be on the water. Both towns sit inside one of the most unique real estate markets in the entire Midwest. The water alone can't give you a real community to come home to after the boat's back in the garage and the kids are in bed. The address isn't the point. The life is the point. And in the Iowa Great Lakes, there are more ways to build a great life than most buyers ever realize when they first start looking at a map. And make sure your agent is asking those important questions and understands the dynamics of each town, because that could determine just how satisfied you are 5 years down the road. Bottom line, Spirit Lake and Milford aren't consolation prizes for buyers who can't afford the lake. They're legitimate, fully functioning communities that give you everything you need to actually live here well. And for most full-time residents, that turns out to be exactly what they wanted all along. Whether you're looking for lakefront or lake access, a family home in Spirit Lake, or a quiet lot in Milford, call or text me. Book a strategy call. All my contact info and the free relocation guide are in the description below. I'm happy to talk you through any of it. Now that you know the real difference between Spirit Lake and Milford and how to think about where you actually want to land in this market, you need to see the best Okoboji has to offer. I put together a full local guide on the perfect day from sun up to sundown in the Iowa Great Lakes, and you can watch it right here.